further ado, I think Aditya, I think you're going to share and do a little bit of a kind of a setup first, and then Rene will jump right into the actual presentation. So I'll let you share screens and go ahead and start.
Yep, you got it. Give me a quick second here. Just want to confirm you're able to view my screen.
I can see it. Yes.
Awesome. Great. So thank you, Tim, for passing it on. Now, the purpose of the second half of this user group presentation is to kind of provide you visibility into Information Builder, TIBCO, data science offerings, right? I'm going to take the first few minutes here to kind of just set the stage on our data science capabilities, particularly on how we position it, and kind of going back to my initial, Q&A that Tim and we had. On personas, the importance of personas, you're going to see that the products that we have maps to certain types of personas to enable them to create, deploy, and operationalize AI model. And we believe that we've got a wider gamut covered on it, but we're going to have a lot more interesting things being part of the roadmap. Post that, I'm going to be passing it on to Rene, and she's going to do essentially the heavy lifting on going about a use case driven demonstration around our AI capabilities and providing you a live demonstration on how these products can be, created, curated to develop the AI models. Okay, so at a very high level, at Information Builders and TIBCO, we believe in democratization of AI, which means that regardless of the skill sets that you have in-house or maybe even externalized through partner channels, we have an AI capability that is essentially mapped to fit your needs. So this offerings that we have under the data science portfolio extends to enabling data scientists to create and deploy and maintain their AI models. It's also there to enable analysts, BI analysts, and data analysts to curate models using a self-service capability. And it's also designed for more business viewer personas to grab, AI insights on the fly, if you will, that becomes more of an out-of-the-box experience, right? So the intention behind the data science portfolio kind of goes back to the initial question that Tim asked me, which is kind of going from curation to operationalization of AI model. And you're going to see a flavor of that being implemented in other portfolios within IBI as well as TIBCO. And that brings me to this slide, which is essentially, AI at IBI and TIBCO is a horizontal approach, right? So that means that, we have data management, we have data preparation, and we have more the BI side, which is your content creation. You want to scale, deploy reports, your visualizations, your portals, to connect to data, to build analytics and all that good stuff. So you have all these different elements at IBI and TIBCO. What we do in AI is more horizontal than that. What that means is if you take an example of profiling under data preparation, we have, or we will be having an AI product that's going to be enabling you to profile your data a lot quicker, right? And that builds upon, automatic matching and merging of data. It means automatically classifying your data to understand where the gaps in your data are for auto completion, things like that. And more from a BI perspective, we're moving more towards the operationalization bit. What do I mean by that? It means to use artificial intelligence to auto-curate visualizations for you, right? So understanding the user behavior and providing automatic visualizations that we find will be beneficial for your business lifecycle, that's what we're moving towards. So moving towards, more content creation that's automatically generated to enable you to essentially build that, scale it across your organization. Now, if I take a look at core industry verticals at Information Builders and TIBCO, particularly on Information Builders, these are our core industry verticals that we have built use cases on, right? And some of these use cases are kind of across industry verticals. I'll give an example of credit union of lending cross-sell. Well, in a credit union, that is mapped to certain data points, but in the retail organization, you can also do lending cross-sell, but that maps more towards a product line, right? So a lot of these use cases that I'm mentioning over here is more of a landing page for all of you to take a look at what we have done. And certainly, you know, we can take questions on this, you know, after this user group conference. But the importance of the slide is to emphasize the need for outlining and understanding the use case that maps into the overall business objective that you have. That's very important, because I've been in a lot of engagements where you have organizations that have a bit of a silo approach, and they are not resonating what they're doing from an AI perspective to the larger executive level, right? The executive level has a perspective on how the business has to move forward. So this goes back to the Q&A that we had. A use case derivation should be sort of top down. And so if you take a top-down approach, it's to understand a macro level what a use case needs to be, and then using BI and artificial intelligence to zero down on what use case is going to be impactful, that's going to yield a higher return on investment. So this is a landing page for you guys to take home. Now, kind of mapping our capabilities into this data science portfolio that we built, the first product that I want to talk about is called Automated Insights, right? Now we've taken a look at the market, and we've harnessed customer requirements, and kind of going back to the movement towards operationalization of AI models. This is the genesis of how we're doing that, right? And what do I mean by that? Automated Insights is an out-of-the-box data analysis experience that enables you to assess gaps in your data and provide you automatic visualizations that's auto-curated for you, based on the data, based on the correlation of your data, based on different attributes on your data, right? And the way this is operated, and Rene is going to show you in real time how this is done, it's as simple as uploading your data set, and the AI engine in the backend analyzes the different fields in your data, the different attributes, and comes up with, you know, several visualizations that it feels would be beneficial for you to run your business. And that's done in a combination of a learning scheme as well as building correlation and causation of your data points. So this is the first product that I want to touch upon. And this is targeted more from a business view, but certainly, you know, BI analysts or data analysts can leverage this insight. And it's really a starting point, if you will, on how to create your BI contents. This gets you that jump start to build up BI contents, to then embed these auto-created visualizations to your portal page or your dashboard. The second is a product that we just released. It's a self-service capability we call ML Functions. And this resonates to more a citizen data scientist, if you will, or a data analyst or a BI analyst, for enabling them to curate models using, you know, deep learning as well as machine learning schemes, for them to build essentially an AI pipeline without the need to understand or even learn code, right? And the model choices that are available, we're making this library more and more dense, but the model choices that are available include, you know, regression models, classification models. We're going to have dimensionality reduction, clustering, as well as anomaly detection. So this enables you to kind of automatically come up with an AI pipeline on an end-to-end life cycle on predicting and providing you a predictive outcome that can then feed into the BI portfolio for you to visualize against that predictive outcome. So it's all done within one platform. And the interesting thing over here is that we have augmented intelligence built into this product. The reason that's important is because that enables the end user. It provides you insight on what kind of models better fit the uploaded data set, thereby enhancing the end user experience of a business analyst, for example, to curate these models. And the last product that I want to touch upon before I pass it on to Rene are data science adapters. So this has been in a portfolio for a while, and this is a very powerful portfolio. This is a very powerful offering. A lot of our current customers and new customers are buying these products because it enables you to essentially utilize what a data scientist has built using Python and R. The data science adapter is a very simple integration tool that maps a pre-trained model that's trained in R or Python and integrate that within the WebFocus platform for you to essentially build the visualization from that predictive outcome, right? And Rene is going to kind of show you a real-time demonstration on how we take it from a pre-trained model stage all the way to a visualization layer. So with that, Rene, why don't I pass it on to you to provide us a use case-driven demonstration?
Sure, thanks, Aditya. That was a great intro into all of the options that is available in WebFocus. So I will be showing a couple of those for you guys right now. So as Aditya said, there's a couple of options that is available for a broad variety of people, the people that just want to use a model that already exists, something that's already in WebFocus, or also be able to actually deploy some of the models that data scientists create and be able to operationalize that. So let's talk through some of those use cases. So the first one is the self-service use case, where a BI analyst just wants to be able to go and take some data that they have and go and try and understand what is happening in that. So let's go and look at some data that we have. And I have some loans that were created at a financial institution. And I can see that there's many different fields in here. There's characteristics about the income, whether they're a homeowner, where they're from, also some of the metrics. But if I'm a business analyst, where do I even start to go and try and understand what could possibly be in this data? So sure, I can go and create a couple of visualizations, but we also have a new option that's available for you that will go and auto-generate some of that insight. And as Aditya said, this is a great way to give you a quick start on where to focus your attention. So if you're a BI analyst and you're not familiar with this data set, or you just want to make sure that you don't miss something when you start analyzing it, let WebFocus go and look and see if there are any correlations and something that has statistical relevance in your data for you. And as you saw, it's as easy as just clicking a button. And it does three different types of analysis. The first one is correlations. So it goes and looks and it says that there's a correlation between installments and total payments. Yeah, I probably would have guessed that. The more you borrow, the more you have to tend to pay back at a time. But let's have a look at some of the others. There's also one between total payments and loan amount. Now, this one I do find interesting because I can see that there's a couple of outliers up here that look like they possibly could have been higher interest rate loans. So I probably want to investigate these in a bit more detail. We can add this content to the canvas right here. We don't have to go and do anything else. The second thing that it goes and does is goes and looks at outliers. So I can see that there's only one type of application type in my data set. Let's see what else it found. We can find income category that is different for the distribution of that. And I think, that's probably an interesting thing to look at as well. So again, I can add that directly to my canvas. The third type that it looks at is time-based analysis. So if there is any data in there that are time-based, we will go and try and understand some of the patterns and outliers in that data as well. So just, different visualizations that gets created and that you can go through and just try and make sure that you don't miss anything in the data. And then, as I mentioned, these are live on the canvas. So I actually have the opportunity to go and add some additional charts to this canvas and go and do some of my own exploration and combine it with the visualizations that was already created by Auto Insights. So I may want to go and see, if people are homeowners, yes or no. So I can create that visualization very, very quickly. Maybe I would like to have another visualization to look at credit grade. And again, how does that stack comparatively speaking for each of my loan amounts? And of course, the most important thing of having a dashboard is the capability to go and slice and dice this. So maybe let's go and look at term. Maybe let's go and look at purpose for a loan. And these visualizations that came created from Auto Insights is still active. So if I go and say, I would like to just filter out my home improvement and my home loans, all of the visualizations on my dashboard will go and update automatically for me. So all of the functionality that you have on regular visualizations in WebFocus still live with the Auto Insights generated content as well. So all of the filtering options, all of that works exactly the same way. So this is obviously a great way for business analysts that don't necessarily want to understand anything about data science, but want to make sure that they actually present visualizations to their end users that are important on a dashboard to be monitoring, in a very quick and easy way that they don't need to understand anything about the technology. They can use it, they can publish out this dashboard, and all of their end users can use that. So taking one step down from that is, of course, data scientists that may have a little bit of exposure to data science, but equally can still just be a business analyst that would really like to explore some additional functions, but again, in a very easy to use way without necessarily having to go and learn how to code. And the example I am going to be using is a data set of customer history. And in this example, what I have is, if we go and look at some of the sample data, we have some customer information of their gender, how long they've been here, the balance that they have, how many products they have with our organization, whether they are active or inactive. In other words, are they coming in all the time? Some credit score information, and age group. But the most important thing that's in here is whether they are still active or inactive. In other words, did they leave our organization and go somewhere else, or are they still a part of an active customer at our organization? So if I am trying to understand what patterns could possibly exist that would influence that inactive or active status, I can take a lot of time to go through this and try and understand if it's an age group or number of products or, balance or anything like that. And you can really go and do all kinds of what if analysis and create different charts on it. But what if we can try and understand some of that data very quickly as well without a lot of intervention? So we can take that and we can go and create a data flow. And in the data flow, of course, we do have options to move data somewhere else, but we also have functions that's built in, analytical functions. And now we also have some of the statistical functions built in. And in this example, random forest that tries to understand correlation patterns actually works really well to be able to analyze that. So let's go and have a quick look at that. So the important thing was, as I said, we were trying to understand exited. Are they still an active customer or not? And typically a field like customer ID, it's unique for every single row. So there's not really anything that you're going to learn in terms of patterns on that one. But, there might be a couple of others here that we want to consider, like their gender and their credit score. So we can go and add that. And we can apply all of those fields to our function. And once we do that, we can go and run, run talking and clicking, my apologies. So let's go and add all of these fields, and then we can just take out a couple. Let's just try and run it with that. So let's go and run this. Oops, okay, let me just start again. It's the talk and the click, people. It actually takes a lot of practice. I know it doesn't sound like it. So let's go and have a look. Customer ID, we know is unique, so we'll just apply it like that. and go and run our random forest model. And now we have it twice. So this does take a little while, but what it will do is behind the scenes go and look and see what is the patterns of data that make up whether a customer will leave our organization or not. And what will end up in the feature importances is that it would actually come and tell us in there that age group and the number of products is really important. And that is, again, just a great way of being able to look at this data as a non-data scientist and be able to go and look at it and say, okay, these are the areas where I'm going to try and focus all of my analysis in moving forward so that I can actually try and make sure that we have plans in place to use that information to prevent that from happening in the future. And I will try and get that to work again, and then we can come back to that. And then the last use case that I want to talk about is for the actual data scientists that really do want to go and create a model that we actually want to use for that real-time scoring. In the data science adapters, as Aditya told you, we do have available for R and for Python. And that is a great way of actually deploying that pre-created model from a data scientist to be used directly in the WebFocus environment so that you don't have to go anywhere else to get that real-time scoring of information. And the way that is done is that you have your Python model deployed on the reporting server, and we will go and configure metadata connection to it, just like we would go and configure metadata connection to anything else. And the example that I am going to be using is actually text analysis scoring, and it uses as the demo data some tweet information of Godzilla versus Kong. And you may think, hey, my organization don't care anything about tweet statistics, but textual data is a gold mine of information and often overlooked. So if you have information in like surveys of trying to understand, how did people think about the training and what is happening in text that comes in the call center, this is a great way of mining some of that information in conjunction with some statistical learning. So as I mentioned, the easiest way to do this is to just go and click Get Data, and you'll see that there is a new data science option available for us for Python. And then it really is as easy as just going in and picking that Python script that we have, and it will pick up for us the functions that's in there. And then we just give it just a little bit of sample data just to run that through. And we deploy this out to the reporting server as a synonym, exactly the same way as we would deploy any other synonym out. So if we go back to our reporting server, what we will see is that we have demo and we can actually get sample data. So now what we have is our original data that, as I mentioned, is tweets in this example, but we also have some analysis that is coming out. So polarity, how are people feeling about that? The important words that is actually influential in that scoring, and the intensity. So, is this like all caps and they're really agitated, or, it's like, yeah, well, it's all is good, So different scoring routines that can be used, and then the analysis can be done on this data in a visualization form in WebFocus exactly the same way as anything else. So let's go and have a quick look at what that could possibly look like. So if we go and pick our data set, and I just have it pre-created for me, what you will find is then in the metadata, you have your original tweet, and then you have all of these words that is influential in that score. And we can, of course, use the word cloud visualization type in WebFocus very effectively to very quickly have that text out. And we can create this dashboard, you know, with that polarity score, subjectivity score, and even intensity. So I can go and change these to actually filter on the detail. And then I can deploy this dashboard out to my end users. Again, remember the real-time scoring as data is now coming in, the users are continuously being able to go and look at that and actually be able to monitor different things. The same way is I actually took that same set of data and I just pivoted the data in the master file so that I can actually get out that important words. And again, we can visualize this very quickly with a tag cloud. And now I can use things like color to really give some context to that. So I can again look at something like intensity and, you know, how forceful did people feel about that word. And I can, you know, look at that importance score that came out of that data, you know, out of the Python scoring routine. And again, go and look at the detail for that and really try and understand, is this, you know, what is the words that actually make up, you know, positive importance? What is the words that make up negative importance? So the words that we probably would have thought of, you know, as favorite and love, that is, you know, really dark blue here. Let's look at all of the negative ones quickly. And, you know, we might be seeing some of the other side of the coin of, you know, fight and hate, etc. that comes through. So taking a look at some of the other ways that you can actually look at your data. As I mentioned, so many different options that exist in WebFocus for models, whether you want to go and predict a number, whether you want to go and predict a category, or whether you even want to do scoring of text. All of those options exist in the WebFocus platform for you in a very easy to use way. And it goes the whole gamut to be able to take it for end users that want to just make a decision. They don't want to learn anything about neural networks. They just want to look at a number on a screen to make a decision. To data scientists that want to go and deploy that model. All of that is covered in one easy to use platform. So I'm going to hand it back over to you.